Hi, this is Christy with Guidepost to Wellness. Welcome to any new viewers and welcome back to folks that have been on the channel before. This channel is dedicated to wellness, anything and everything that can have to do with helping you improve your wellness or work with a chronic illness or an autoimmune disease. And today what I want to talk about are superfoods. What are they? What can they do for me? And where can I find them? And this is kind of an interesting topic, and that's why I wanted to talk about it, especially since I just talked about seasonal foods recently, and it's getting ready to change seasons, so people might start eating some vegetables and different things again. So I really wanted to talk about superfoods. So just making sure I can get this to work. So the definition of superfood was coined in 2004 by Dr. Pratt, who wrote a book called The Superfood Prescription, 14 Foods That Will Change Your Life. And I think that that was a really important time where people started to realize that food could really have an effect on their life. Now, according to Dr. Pratt, these foods should meet some specific qualifications. They should be readily available. And in this day and age, I think that that has really become a non-issue, as you can get just about anything in the grocery market now. They should contain essential nutrients known to enhance longevity. So a lot of vitamins and minerals. And they should have health benefits supported by peer-reviewed scientific studies. I think you can find a study out there to support just about any claim, but that's a story for another time. But I do think that it's important to understand that there are health benefits to specific foods. Now, what's interesting, though, is you can find a lot of different definitions for superfoods, and Dr. Oz defines it as that these superfoods get such a name for themselves because they give your body the maximum amount of nutrients and often for the least amount of calories. These foods are not only extremely healthy for you, but they can also help improve health issues such as cholesterol, cancer, and the upkeep of your immune system. So we are what we eat, and I talked about that in the inflammatory foods video that I did, that our bodies are constantly regenerating and turning over, and the better building blocks that we can give our body, the healthier we're going to be. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to show a picture of several different folks that are what I consider wellness experts. Whenever I do research for these videos for all of you and for my clients and for my own comprehensive knowledge, these are some of the folks that I go to first. So Dr. Pratt is the gentleman that wrote the initial book. David Wolfe is very much into plant medicines. Chris Kresser is a functional medicine doctor, and I really spend a lot of time reading his research because it's very balanced. He is very much on the board with Paleo. Dr. Josh Axe is also very much Paleo. Dr. Mercola, and you can see Dr. Mercola has some specific things for digestive health, and then Dr. Oz has a short list and a long list. And what I've done is I've highlighted some of the common things that are on more than one list, but as you can see here, there are so many wonderful foods that these doctors and these health professionals, if they're not doctors, these educated health professionals, they can provide you the reasons why they think these foods are superfoods. So to me, when I look at these lists of foods, they have some things that are in common, and I think that that's what I want to focus on. So what do they all have in common? They are whole foods. They are nutrient dense. So they are grown in healthy soils, preferably not, mass farmed. And there's a variety. We're going to take a look at that in just a minute. But it's amazing that we used to eat hundreds of types of fruits and vegetables. And now we have bred our fruits and vegetables down to a very, very small number. For example, my husband was telling me that the bananas that are imported into the United States are about possibly to go extinct due to, I can't remember if it was a bug or some type of blight or disease that was killing that type of banana. And that banana was chosen because it grew quickly, the sugar content, a lot of different things like that. But there are, in other parts of the world, hundreds of varieties of bananas. A lady that I work with used to live in Puerto Rico for a while, and down there are so many different types of avocados, and avocados are so plentiful that people literally will just hang bags of avocados on the fence for people walking by, just please take some. She said she can't even eat avocados now in the United States because we just basically have two types. We have the Hass, the smaller, dark avocados, and then there's another larger, I can't remember the specific name, but it's much larger. I mean, you have a small avocado like this, and then the much larger light green one. And those are the only two varieties that you have here. And according to this lady, she said they taste nothing like the ones that were grown in Puerto Rico. And the same things happened with our apples. We have bred apples to be actually sweeter. So we've lost a lot of varieties of apples, green beans, all those types of things. And so you now sometimes can see and buy things that are considered heirloom, which means that they have not been modified in any way. And when I say modified, I'm not talking about genetically modified with some outside organism, but modified to increase the level of sweetness, increase the yield in bread or something like that. But it's just amazing the amount of variety that we used to have that we just don't now. And most of us really get into a rut and eat the same types of vegetables over and over again, same type of foods in general. Color is such an important factor when it comes to the food. And I have a chart that I'm going to show you talking about some of the different nutrients. The more colorful your menu of foods can be, the more diverse types of nutrients you're going to be getting from them. And you'll find that many foods that are whole foods, nutrient dense, and all these types of things are often listed as anti-inflammatory foods because they do have the nutrients and the substances in them that are very healthy for us. However, like I talked about in the inflammatory food video, what can be healthy for one person can cause another person to have inflammation. So even if it is a whole food, a nutrient dense, and it is colorful, for you as an individual that maybe has issues with nightshades like tomatoes and eggplant and your arthritis, it still may not be a good food for you to ingest regularly. So when you think about the superpowers of these whole foods, they are rich in phytochemicals, which are the nutrients that are found in the foods. A lot of them are tied to their colors. They may not be a specific vitamin or a mineral, but they're other types of chemicals that are necessary to make the vitamins to work better in our bodies and things of that nature. So phytochemicals are very important. And when you look at processed foods, whole foods contain more of the vitamins and minerals. Oftentimes the processing is done at high temperatures or high pressures, or they're stripping parts of the whole food away. That's why a lot of flours now are enriched, because they actually strip away the bran and other parts of the flour to make it white. Or they do other processes to it that take the nutrients out. So why process a food and then add the nutrients back in if you can just get it from the original food? Whole foods also contain natural enzymes. Believe it or not, on the outside of a lot of the fruits and vegetables are the enzymes that help our bodies digest them. And during my video that I talked about seasonal eating, our bodies actually ebb and flow with the enzymes that are made by our bacteria in our guts to help us digest different foods. So for example, we may not have the enzymes in our gut or on the vegetables at the time to, for example, eat cabbage or something maybe in June when cabbage is less common. But different fruits and things, we have the natural enzymes that come with those foods when you eat them in a whole state. Fiber and beneficial fats are found in whole foods because they're not stripped out. I'm going to do a video on juicing versus smoothies. I'm a big smoothie advocate unless you have a serious health condition, because why drink just the juice when you can also get the fibers, which are so good for our bodies, for regularity, for a food source for the bacteria in our gut. So getting that whole fiber and the beneficial fats that are in the whole foods is important. And then a lot of times scientists can't really understand why a whole food can be more nutrients or more nutritional for us than taking the supplement for a specific nutrient by itself. For example, vitamin C. Taking vitamin C by itself does have benefits, but eating a food that's high in vitamin C, the combination of the nutrients from the whole plant actually acts synergistically. And even if an orange, for example, might have lower levels of vitamin C than, say, a supplement, your body's going to absorb it and use it better. The same thing with things like vitamin E. There are multiple forms of vitamin E, and they work synergistically together, and it's easier to get them in foods than it is necessarily to take them in a supplement. So all of these are really good reasons to eat whole foods. And then, of course, there are no artificial or mystery ingredients. If you're reading a label and there's something on there that you can't actually visualize in your mind what this food is, like sugar from sugarcane or beets or wheat from a plant, then maybe we don't need to be ingesting that food, especially if we just don't know what's in it. So that can be concerning. This is the graph that I was talking about. Might be good to just kind of like pause the video at this point so you can take a look at some of these things, but this is what we're talking about with getting a lot of color. So for example, foods starting at the top that are red, such as tomatoes, beets, watermelon, things like that, they're going to have high amounts of lycopene, quercetin, which are good for inflammation. Lycopene's good for the eyes. They can help with blood pressure, prostate issues, tumor growth, and things of that nature. I think most of us know that things that are orange, like carrots and sweet potatoes, contain beta-carotene. They've got potassium and vitamin C in them a lot of times, so they are really good to eat in a whole form to help with things like macular degeneration, cholesterol, blood pressure, collagen formation. Vitamin C is really important for collagen formation. Yellow has other types of carotenoids and lutein and things in it that are a little bit different than the phytonutrients that are in orange vegetables. Green has the natural chlorophylls and fibers. Again, lutein, we've got magnesium and calcium, vitamin C, beta-carotene, all these wonderful things. That's why green leafy vegetables are so great for you, because they've got magnesium and calcium and fiber. That's why things like avocado, artichokes, all of those types of things are so great for you. Purple and blue, they have their own types of phytochemicals, anthocyanins and phenolic acids, which are just amazing antioxidants. So if you've got purple grapes, you've got eggplants, you've got anything like that that's going to be a blueberry, blackberries, things of that nature. So don't forget that white is also a color, so that not just things like white sugar, white wheat, bleached wheat, things like that, but naturally white vegetables have a lot of things like beta-glucans, EGCG, which is also in teas, and things that are really important for the natural killer B and T cells. And we're talking about bananas, we're talking about onions and garlic and mushrooms, things of that nature. So as you can see, the more variety and color that you can get into your diet, you're getting a wide range of different nutrients. So the key thing, I am frugal when it comes to eating, but I want to make sure that I'm getting the best that I can afford. So that's why I always recommend seasonal fruits and vegetables. Things are always going to be cheaper when they're in season because they're more plentiful, and the transportation costs are going to be less. Like I talked about in the seasonal eating, it's going to support our body's natural cycles. That's why you crave things when you do. You may not crave pumpkin in June because there's other fruits out there instead. It also supports the plant's natural cycles, the earth cycles, and the plants are going to be more nutrient dense when they're grown in environments that are supporting them seasonally and not artificially. And then you're also supporting the local farms and farmers markets for your local economy. You can know where the food is coming from. And then I've mentioned before, but foods are picked closer to ripeness when you buy them locally. That's why I loved buying corn from the vendor that I've bought corn for years, because they literally pick it at like 4 o'clock in the morning and bring it to the farmer's market that day. You can't get any better than that when you're not growing it yourself. And studies have shown that like broccoli that is grown in a commercial type environment and then shipped across the country to grocery stores on the East Coast have lost significant, like 80+% of the nutrient content that they originally had. And all of that's better for the environment because you're using the natural cycles, you're bettering the soil, the less reliance on transportation and the fuels, burning fossil fuels and things like that. And then if meat and dairy products, you can't find them local, then you want to go organic because of the regulations, and then you have a better idea what's in your food. I'm not always a proponent for organic. If I talk to the farmers and know how they treat their crops, then it doesn't have to be organic, because I do know that there's an added expense to the farmer in that situation that they pass on to us. So, and then also planning meals and using your leftovers can save you time and money. So again, trying to be seasonal and plan your meals about what's growing in season can be a real cost savers. And then I'm going to do another video talking about the Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen, because there are some that if you can prioritize, if you want to spend money on certain things, then you're going to want to try to buy the Dirty Dozen in organic if possible. But one rule of thumb at this point really to think about is if you're not eating the skin of something, then it doesn't need to be organic. So you don't need to necessarily have organic oranges and organic avocados and bananas because you're not eating the skins of those. And I know that some things will get uptaken into the fruit or vegetable, I understand that, but when we're talking about prioritizing, that's just a quick rule of thumb that you can use. So thinking about what's in season, I put a little map here. Get my face out of the way. Put a little map here. I'm in North Carolina, so this talks about what's in season here, but you can go to your local websites and you can look and see when can you buy certain things and help planning with your budget and everything there too, and planning your meals. So when we talk about the Clean 15, here is a list of things again that are not necessarily have to buy organic, and a lot of these are because they are less prone to pests and use less pesticides. So looking at the Dirty Dozen, these are some of the things that are much higher in pesticides, plus they're ones that you're going to be eating these skins on a lot of times. So if possible, if you are looking to prioritize, then it would be good to try to buy the things on the Dirty Dozen organic if you can, but I realize that it's not always possible, so I would rather you buy them and eat them any way that you can and buy the best that you can than not buy them at all. So I think it's really good to try changing things up slowly and adding whole foods to your shopping list. Watch for any changes if you're trying something new. Try them, periodically. You don't have to go crazy, but if you find things that you really like, find some recipes for them and try expanding how you use them in your menus. Smoothies are a great way to get a lot of different nutrient-dense foods in one meal or one snack. I love NutriBullets because they really grind things up really well, and they also come with a lot of great resources. But again, I'm going to do another video on smoothies and juicing. And then make sure that you stock some staples in your pantry and fridge, the things that you use all the time. And it might be some things are good to have canned or frozen. So things like organic canned beans and tomatoes, wild-caught salmon, sardines, seeds and nuts, quick whole grains like quinoa, fermented foods and condiments, but we're going to talk more about those in some other videos, but definitely fermented foods, naturally fermented foods, not the kinds that are just sour due to vinegar. And then we're going to talk about sprouting. I'll put some links to some sprouting articles that I've already done with some recommended products, but we're definitely going to talk about sprouting. I do sprouting more in the wintertime when I may not have access to a lot of the fresh greens. So we'll talk more about that in the time coming up. So some takeaways. I think it's pretty clear. Eat a variety of whole foods, as whole as you can get them. The variety of color, rainbow, rainbow, rainbow. Try something different if you haven't tried it before. Try a different color of something. Try purple cauliflower, purple broccoli. If you like broccoli, then try purple broccoli. It'll taste a little different and give you some new nutrients. Sprouts. Again, we're going to talk about that more, how to incorporate those into your diet. And then your high quality meats and fats. Again, we spend more money on our meat, but we eat less of it, but it's such high quality that you're satisfied with a lot less. Try the Clean 15 and Dirty Dozen as guidelines as well. And then eat seasonally and locally, definitely, to support your local economy. So eat the highest quality foods that your budget allows. So as you can see, your superfoods are going to be whatever are super for you that you enjoy, but get that variety of foods. Come up with the foods that you really like, that you feel healthier when you're eating, and then you've got your own list of superfoods. I'm going to try to see if I can make a takeaway of the different superfoods that the variety of doctors listed. Otherwise, feel free to watch the video and stop it. I'll put the timestamp in the notes below. Take care and be well.